Oh.
Oh, hail King Bran!
Yeah.
Din.
Brandon on the throne. Brandon on the throne.
You won the Game of
Brandon on the
Thrones.
throne. Yes. Curveball. Didn't see that coming. Didn't see that coming. He's like, a good story. I was like, John did have a good story.
Oh, yeah, I felt like that line.
And to be
was-
honest, John had a way better story than Bran's story, but anyway.
Well, yeah, no, I feel like that was a little bit of the writers being like, you know what's great? Storytellers. Storytellers are the best thing.
Oh, thank you, Brandon.
Like writers who write shows, like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no, totally. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
Wah, wah,
If you
wah,
couldn't
wah,
guess.
wah.
I'm Damiani.
nice.
This is Amanda.
I'm Troopy Doopy.
And behind the camera, and now on set, Brandon
Jonesy
Jones, the king. And
the king of the
This is
north.
the- no, the king of the north.
The king of the six kingdoms.
Six kingdoms now, not
Yeah.
7 kingdoms.
Right.
Because, as everyone likes to point out, the North did a Brexit
Yeah.
and did their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a king in the North as well.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
John's first, his first active as heading back to the Night's Watch, just to get the heck out of the Night's Watch.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, cool, yeah, it's good to see you guys.
Can I be a ranger now?
He was just like,
Listen, when I first came to the wall, I want to be a ranger. You said no, I had to be a steward. Then I led you guys in the Night's Watch. What about now? Can I just be a ranger?
He's gonna go take over Craster's keep.
he's got to go find.
Yeah.
John's gonna be the new Craster.
Yeah. Gross.
But he's gonna go find his cave, and
He's gonna reminisce.
yeah, he's gonna reminisce and just be like, yeah. He just basically said like, peace out to everyone. You know what?
Yeah.
I did what I was supposed to do, and this is all you decided. So be it. I'm just gonna go chill up in the north with my friend,
He's
my
gonna-
new best friend, potentially soulmate, Tormund, Giantsbane,
He's gonna.
and the pet we all
Pet
deserve
Rose.
finally
The
happened.
pet heard around the world.
That made me cry. I was like, yeah, he
That was
goes
the
to
most
that.
emotional scene of the show.
Best moment. Yeah, John's gonna be up there and he's all gonna be like, I have no regrets.
Stop it. Too early.
The puns.
Well, but I saw Chad say that there's no need for the Night's Watch, but the Night's Watch
there's
is
always a
still
need for the Night's
is
Watch.
still this like
Tyrion had
weirdo
that
prison
line.
where you can send people.
Yeah.
So it is kind of John's responsibility for guarding, the men that run, like this man that escaped in the beginning of the whole story, like where the first scene that we ever saw in the show and the first scene we ever read in the books is this man who confronted this evil and deserted his
the Night's
men.
Watch, yeah.
And so it's now John's responsibility to look over those people.
Yeah.
And he was a man without a home himself, so I think John is kind of emblematic of where I sit with all these characters now, where it's like, man, this has been a weird season, but I'm kind of into kind of everywhere we left. I want to know more. That's like the only
Brandon.
sadness that I have
That's
is that like
that's a good point.
it was kind of
Yes.
weird of Yara showing up and being like, yeah, okay, bring me a cake, all right, later. And they're just like, oh, I guess we're all right. I guess we're done with their family. Cool.
I feel like that was continuing the trend of the criticisms from the past few episodes. I actually liked where things ended. If this is like their ultimate resolutions, these were the bullet points. We just saw like all Gurm's bullet points. This character ends up here, this ends here. I actually liked it. It did subvert expectations. But the reasoning of how we got there, how rushed it was, how we didn't get to like really see the logic lead up to that very well, makes it feel problematic. I feel like if it had more time to be developed, like even if this had like 10 episodes, or they broke this into like 2 whole seasons to give it enough time to breathe, we probably would have arrived at the spot and like would have made sense. Things would have flown better. Yeah, you will fly. it just feels rushed. It just feels absolutely rushed, and I think everything suffers for it. I'm sorry to beat a dead horse.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, especially like the moment after John kills Dany and Drogon flies away, and then it's like cut to, and it's like, oh, now we're here to decide John's fate. Like, I wanted to see the moment where
Yes.
John walks out and was like, so I did a bad thing. Like there was no, how did he get out of that?
And like,
And they
Amanda,
didn't show it.
people have criticized that part because they think the writers didn't know what to do, because people are like, when Grey Worm or Dothraki shows up, their most logical thing they're going to do when they realize he killed the queen,
Yeah.
they're just going to kill him. Like,
Right.
what reason they have to keep him alive? They
No
have no
reason.
loyalty to him.
And they don't know he's a Targaryen.
Yeah,
There's
that
no
was
reason.
a weird jump,
Yeah.
especially also too.
I think
I'm
they did it
guessing
because
the
of-
Unsullied like called everybody. Like who called everyone? Were they all waiting? Or?
Yeah, I don't get that. And Jones, honestly, and Amanda, I feel like the worst part of this episode was that council
that
scene.
jump.
It was so out of place. It didn't work. It felt like it suffered the most for like, So why? How did everyone get here?
Right.
Why do they all have equal representation? We're just coming to this conclusion just nicely like this? Why is Grey Worm sitting back there the whole time looking confused and just frustrated?
Why
what?
was Grey Worm all like, I have the power? And then they're like, no, the king has the power. He's like, well, okay, then you pick a king. It's like, what?
It was weird. Yeah, it's weird seeing Grey
You
Worm
just
like
said you had all the power.
chuck
and then
his
you-
like spear into like the Kingsguard in the last episode, and then like totally being like, no, respect, Westeros, respect. Like what?
Yeah.
That was strange.
I mean, it was just a real.
But
It was.
yeah.
It was just a really. They really got through. They were like, there's some little sticky bits, but let's get back to the feels. And then I have to say that they did get me in the feels. I got the feels.
Oh, I got hit repeatedly. I got run over by the feels by the end of that episode.
So, like, I said to Brandon as we're watching it, I said, I feel like they're making it up to me a little bit with some of the resolutions. I still think it was rushed. I would have liked it to get there more naturally. But there's some moments that were nice. And I really love this small council meeting at the end. I thought that was cute. Although, Bronn is master of coin. Like, that has to, like, again, that kind of, I mean, I liked it. I think it's funny. But don't you think that he would have been like, no, I've got my castle now, I'm good? Or does he just want more power?
I could see it as him doing that because one, it puts him near people who now have the power to make him even wealthier. He's also close to the people he actually gave a shit about in a good way. I think he would have been bored out of his mind. That whole thing, I just want to live in a castle and be rich. I think that was just him saying, I just want to be rich, but that will bore the shit out of me. Like, I want to live. I want what's best for me, but also I'm great. I would love to have what's up.
Did they forget about the Reed family? Yeah. Do we have a representative from...
So, yeah, chat. There were two unknown people in the council sitting with everyone. Do you actually know who those were?
So one was in between Edmure, Tully, and Sam on the right.
Yes.
He said I right after Edmure said
Yes.
it. And then there was another one in between the guy from Dorne and I keep forgetting his name. The guy who used to have the beard.
Oh,
who was sitting next to
between Robin Aaron and
That's Roderick.
It was Robert Aaron, Roderick, then
Sir
some guy,
Roderick.
and then
Isn't Sir
the guy from
Sir
Dorne.
Roderick.
the guy who got killed
Waymar Royce.
back at Winterfell by
so is
by
it?
Theon.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, it's Royce.
it's
Yeah.
Jan
Okay.
Royce. Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Roderick is the Stark guy.
Right. So Jan Royce. So who is the person?
To the right of Robin was Jan Royce.
Right, but we know who that is.
So
but
the other
who's the
side.
other person?
Yes. I almost thought it was like Lannister armor or something for a second.
There's no Lannisters except for Tyrion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there probably still is one or two.
Maybe not.
Just not like in King's Landing, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you figure it out, let us know. But yeah, like I want to say one thing. I still love some of the shots in this episode, like the cinematography. I did a meme at the beginning, courtesy of Reddit. They've already did a Souls version of Jon's encounter with Drogon before he enters the throne. That was such a good,
Yeah.
Oh, I loved how that was shot. I loved everything about leading up to Dany's death. How it was shot, how everything looked, how everything played out. I just wish I felt the emotional weight of that more by having the previous episodes have built up to that. Like the conversation they have, Jon and Dany, about who gets to choose to be good, and her answer is we. I was like, this should have happened.
Yeah,
like
earlier.
We should have
This
known
was the
this point
conversation.
before the burning of King's Landing. Like if
Yes.
they demonstrated that's how far. Like she thinks she's doing good, but clearly she has gone mad with power. She's not insane because she's just insane for the sake of it. She now, Tyrion's speech about we reinforced this. We kept reinforcing that she was doing good, and then this is where it led us. Like
that speech should have been Varys
Yes.
earlier. Like all of that stuff. If they'd done that earlier, it would have been like, oh, okay, I see where we're going with this. But yeah, it was sort of like, well, what we meant to tell you in the previous episode was this.
Yeah, almost like I know they're all shot and done. the stuff in this episode felt like they're trying to address the criticisms of the previous
I know,
episode.
exactly.
Like, I was like, wait, that can't be because they
There's
shot
no-
all this. They didn't
yeah,
edit.
there's
Didn't
no way
fix
they
this.
could
It's
turn
all
around,
between
turn
a
stuff
week.
around.
This isn't South Park where they could turn around like that, but it felt like that, and I think that just like screams how big of a flaw that these episodes that came before it, their biggest flaw in the writing, that you have to retcon your situations and your arcs for your characters, and you can't do that. You can't do that. And in hindsight, we should have done this, and it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and I felt like they just they didn't really resolve Daenerys. They just kind of like were like, oh, we have to like just like, this is gross, but I felt like they put her down. Like they just like it felt very much like like it felt a little bit like when Stark killed Lady in season 1.
Oh,
She got old
You know,
Yeller.
just
Yeah.
like oh, she's lost her mind. It's kinder to do it this way. And I was just like, it just
Look at the flowers, Danny.
yeah, maybe. It again. I felt like it was them not knowing exactly what to do, and they're like, we'll just do it this way. So a little bit of a bail on actually dealing with the issue that was brought up, and then they bailed on the repercussions of killing her in that way too.
Oh yeah, they definitely skipped out on the repercussions, and it was obvious the writers didn't know what to do about that. How to get from that point to where we showed back up after the dissolve there, fade to black. I saw someone in chat also point out it feels a little bit like this was done for the sake of a twist, a surprise, because we couldn't make it. All this arguing we've been doing about you should have built up Dany to lead to this before we got to this point. It's like, but that would have ruined the surprise. But like sometimes knowing something's coming and you're rooting for, like, we would have been rooting for her, like, please change, like like it's gonna go this way unless you change. Whereas this is, oh, she just snapped and we didn't get enough evidence.
You said it well, which was sort of like all of her character arc was like it was turned over because of a curse of the Targaryens. Like, oh well, she's a Targaryen, so some of them just turn out like that, and like it's just such a petty way of finishing up her character. Yeah.
They also didn't play enough on like Jon, who Jon was. Like he did so much. Like I know his character hasn't always been consistent in the writing for his character throughout the series, but at the end, he basically was like the hero the realm needed in the end, and he basically like he might have got what he really wanted going off to the north, but like a lot of his build up and his big revelations, what did they really amount to? His whole origin that he's a Targaryen, it's like, what did that, I mean, it created tension between him and Dany, but was that it? Just to make her like tip her over the scales that like, oh, I also have like someone else who might, usurp me as well. Like,
yeah, I mean,
what was the payoff?
Also, him being a bastard and him not being a Stark also kind of fed into where we found him at the end, that he's not going home to Winterfell, he's not going home to the north.
Well, he went home
he's
to
not the
Ghost.
man to lead the north.
Yeah.
He's going to go lead his outcasts. He's going to go kind of like Dany, like she goes home. She goes back to where she's really from, back to where she really made a difference.
Where he really
no, back east.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, I think that was interesting that we don't even see like where Drogon like dropped her off.
Oh yeah, no, Bran's gonna find her. Bran's gonna go. I wish he'd warged out at the table. That would have been great.
I thought he was gonna do. I thought,
like,
yeah.
we're gonna see it.
let me-
Yeah.
And then
Let me
like
go
you would
check
see
on
where
that.
he drops off Dany, and then like
exactly, Joey.
my dragon
I was
now.
kind of expecting there to be like that potentially was like the last shot, like Drogon landing somewhere and laying Dany to rest or something. It's like
that was sweet.
Probably back when
Nope.
he was born. Probably
That was sweet though. When Drogon picked her up in his claws and flew off, that was sweet.
it was. He was loyal to her to the end.
Yeah, I really liked.
I was really happy. he
Really
didn't-
liked that he melted the throne.
Yes, there we go.
That was
I was
cool.
also happy that he took out his rage on the throne. Dragons are intelligent beings, and
He got it.
Drogon understood. I'm getting this. Someone wrote this. I already read this from someone. This is not my original thought. But Drogon realized that this throne represented everything that drove Daenerys to go crazy. This is what ultimately led to her demise. And Drogon's like, just screw this. You're blowing this all up. Like, I'm finishing the job here. I missed it, but it's done.
Yeah.
It was dumb though. I don't know. I think it was. I always wanted the Iron Throne to be destroyed. I did not want someone to sit upon the Iron Throne in the end. I'm glad it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm a little bummed out about that. There's still like a ruler of the Six Kingdoms. I was kind of hoping, and I had some excitement when they showed the council scene. I'm like, oh, we're gonna figure out how to rule now without a king. And they're like, no, we're just gonna choose one. Which we went over how dumb that was, but. Yeah, it's a little.
But theoretically, they did get rid of the successor being the whole like son of the previous.
Yes, I like
king.
that.
Yeah.
What was it? Oh, it was from Batman. It was from The Dark Knight. Wayne's speech to Harvey about that, or was it Rachel's speech to him about public service, like the person who they elected. It was Harvey's speech to them about whoever was elected to be like the ruler or whatever. It was like a public service, a civic duty that you would drop what you're doing, you'd go do it because it was something that needed to be done, because you were elected because we believe you're capable. Once that job was done, you abdicated that power and went back to doing whatever you're doing because there was no longer need for it. I kind of I kind of subscribe to that methodology of like, if there is a time where you need someone to take authority, and this is what they were doing. It's like, we will elect. It's an oligarchy, though. It's the small council of like leaders from all the like different kingdoms. We'll get together and decide who's the best leader, and then for a generation they will lead. And then when they're done, we bury them, put them to rest, and then we find a new one. But like, we've seen how these like sons, daughters, and like, or somewhere down the line, it causes like drama and stuff between family squabbling. Yeah. It always leads to shit going bad. Even in like our reality, like that's what happened with like monarchies and stuff. Like it always
and that
ends
also
up that way.
kind of placates Grey Worm by him saying, this is the wheel she was trying to break.
Yeah.
This passing between these families that clearly
#the patriarchy.
And it's interesting. They also kind of cleaned up this issue that Danny and Sansa touched on of, what about the North? What do we do about them? Like, can there be any kind of agreement between the Crown and the North, and having Bran and Sansa taking those seats? Just like, oh, well, there you go. Like, they trust each other, at least.
I think it was always going to go that way, too. There was no way Sansa was going to bend any... Unless it was maybe Jon on the throne, there was no way...
No,
so I think the realm is in really good shape. I just was surprised they didn't wrap up some of the character... just kind of what was going on.
What about poor Daario Naharis?
What's up with Daario?
Didn't even know what happened. He's probably like sitting back there, just like.
There's like a knock on his door.
Over Dragon's Bay.
And he's like at the brothel with like 8 other women. It's like, wait, hold on. It's like, hold on. Yeah. And it's like Drogon. Like oh!
He's like, oh shit, what did I miss? No, yeah. Someone in chat, before I forget, someone in chat asked about the Brienne scene, about writing in the Gold Cloaks book and finally fleshing out Jaime's story.
That's a reference back to previous season 2.
Did you like it though?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Doesn't make me like what happened to Jaime anymore.
No, it doesn't, and it doesn't make me like the whole sexual relationship between them. I still feel like that was just an unnecessary. I felt like it. I felt like it trivialized their friendship, which I really thought they developed so beautifully. But I did enjoy that she finished his story because that was referenced previously. So I saw her opening that book. I was like, oh, that's cool. All right, that has a little resonance.
I don't know if he ever confided in her that was something he lamented, because obviously go back a few seasons when he's being made fun of. Oh, look, Sir Jaime. Oh, nothing really in here. And like you can tell, he kind of like when he holds his hand on it and then closes the book, he's kind of like, yeah, it sucks, but it's true. I think he wanted to, just be remembered, I guess. It looked like he was going to be forgotten, essentially. The one thing I would have liked to have seen, maybe I didn't read all of her notes that Brienne was writing. She was writing, it would have been nice if she included faults in there. Like, let's not just, like, glorify these knights who obviously are humans and they can make mistakes.
I think there was something in there about the Whispering Woods and how he was captured and... I think I felt.
But
I felt
like,
like I saw something.
did it say like he murdered his cousin to escape, or basically both his good and his bad to show like
Right.
this is the reality of like a person. They can be both do good deeds and heroic. They also can be really bad.
Why don't we just headcanon that in there?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Because
she wrote the
she wrote the truth, except for the very end where she kind of glossed it over with he died protecting his queen.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true. It makes it poetical.
Yeah.
Killed one king, protected the queen. It's kind of a nice story.
I think. Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's good enough. I also like how she ended up becoming the captain of the King's Guard.
Yeah, I like that too. And Podrick.
And Podrick, although the joke now is Podrick's now the official like king wheeler around. Like the jokes are on point. I'll
Wheeler
say
of the
this.
king.
Because like people are like this all made sense if you go back and watch season 1. Bran knew the future. He knew there would be an Iron Throne. That's why he was in a wheelchair because he's the only. I was like, oh, it gets better and better. But yeah, that going back to that small council
The Iron
thing.
Puddle.
Like you already talked about it a little bit, just how Tyrion was trying to set the chairs again, and even after all the things he'd seen, people will move him around, and then they just immediately come and do that. And he's just like, "Yep, things aren't really gonna. Some things will not change. Like this is how it's gonna be." And despite everyone he like trusted that was still alive to be there, the best people, they're still having arguments and disagreements. Like it's not gonna be perfect, but it's where he ended up and stuff. And I kind of like that scene.
However, I do want to say, okay, so Sam, I love Sam, but you can't just be a Grand Maester. Like, what was that, like 3 days later? Like, he got his robe on and his chain. Like, no, it takes years. That's why all the Grand Maesters are old. It takes years to forge that chain. And I don't think you just get it for, like, acts of valor. So somehow they expedited his maestership. And then on top of that, maesters are also celibate. And he's already got 2 kids and a wife. Plus, doesn't he have a keep of his own now? Like, he's the Lord. So, not that bothers me, really. But, like, he's got a wife and 2 kids. Yeah. And what is he doing? Where are they? Is his mom running the...
Yeah, we don't see Gilly at all in the final episode.
No, you don't see Gilly at all.
Chat's feeling you on this one, man.
And the baby. Like, he's like, we're having a baby. Oh, but then I'm going to go
They're
study
breaking the wheel.
I'm going to go study at the
maybe starting to study
for a while.
It's an honorary robe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how much time passed between, like, certain points. I do think, as smart as Sam is, he doesn't know everything, and like he still should probably like needs to learn a few more things before being a Grand Maester.
Yeah.
But at the same time, some of the other things that you were saying, like the rules that are being like broken here because he's doing he holds titles, he has family, like what's going on here. I think maybe Bran as king now could be like, these systems kind of sucked. It's like it led to a lot of people. I don't know. He has a power.
But they still use the same representation of those things. So he's still in the same robes. He has the chain, like the hand of the king still has the hand thingy. That it's if they're really like rewriting how everything's run, then they should rewrite how it's run. But they were just like, yeah, we'll do away with eldest son gets the throne. That part we broke, but the rest of it is pretty much the same. Like someone said earlier, and obviously, Sam proposed democracy. Sam was like, "What if we let the people choose?" And they laughed him down. So they were really only willing to change one detail, which is, we'll just pick the next king.
I think that might have been more just like convenience for like the show where it's like, oh, we want this to be an important point. But we're going to ignore all this other stuff because we don't want to tackle these discussions. Yeah, I think that's right. I think, honestly, the real answer is they just, like, glossed over that for the sake of, oh, it's a happy moment. Well, they're all here and they get to have this. We don't have enough. We have no more episodes. We have no more time to address. Wait, how did Sam do this? Did he make decisions to like abandon his claim and stuff? Like, we don't get to see that, and that's part of the I think some of the clients like, oh, we need a little bit more. This is like a little wrapped up too neatly here.
Yeah.
The democracy thing, really quick. The best meme to come out of it so far was the Sam's proposal set to Back to the Future. when the Johnny Be Good thing,
Yeah.
where Michael J. Fox plays the song and everything, and he goes,
Yeah.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that. And then it's like
But your
Sam's
kids are
face,
gonna
and
love
then
it.
your kids are gonna love it for democracy.
I was stoked to see Bran become king. Like, obviously, he knows. Like, you want people to learn from the past, and he has a very close relationship with all the problems that these various houses have made. He just didn't really say anything. He kind of gets the throne, and then like so many scenes with other people, and like we never see him like speak to the people that are king. I know there's not a lot of people left alive in King's Landing right now, but like I would have liked maybe one. It was weird to see have Daenerys get this huge "Yay, we won, everyone" moment, and then like he never really gets that either.
What, Bran?
Yeah, it's just like when John said goodbye to him at the end, it almost seemed like Bran was like, crazy, right? It's like he was still kind of
They just ran out of time,
dealing
man.
with it.
120 minutes.
No, I know.
They're like, oh crap. Well, what can we skip just to get to the important parts?
Yeah.
But Bran is king, though. How do you feel about that? Him ending up being king. Him almost implying like this. I knew this was going to happen. I mean, he does know what's going to happen. He's like, this is the plan all along. Like, come on. Like, yeah. How do you feel about
It's
that?
weird not knowing what he wants. He kind of seems to be good at picking. He's like a good head coach. He's good at picking the right players, and then they'll take him to the championship. But you never really see him directly do anything. Considering the trials it took him to get to where he is right now. Like once he kind of hit Winterfell, he just like kind of faded out. Like him saying, "Oh, the Night King's going to come for me," is like one of the only like things he said that like kind of directed anybody in any specific direction. He just kind of like was an observer.
Yeah.
And so I think that's okay. I didn't really mind it up until now. It's weird leaving him just being like, "Bye, John." Like that was kind of strange. Considering he's king. He's just wearing like some blue outfit, no crown.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit. I think it goes back again to like how they flushed a bunch of storylines down the toilet, where like Bran had a larger purpose and a bigger. He had a bigger meaning that I don't think that they knew what it was.
Yeah.
And so they're like,
I'd
well, king, and like Arya had a bigger quest she was on, and in the end they're like, go exploring. Like they just didn't know what to do with these characters that had so much more juice in them still.
At least with Arya, she'd referenced before that she wanted to like see what was like in the unknown. Like she had referenced that was like one of her like desires if she should ever get the opportunity, and now she has it. I think with Bran, what I'm also trying to get out here is we just saw all these people go through all this about figuring out who should be the leader, deposing Dany by killing her because like we believed in this ruler, we killed her, everything that's come before. And you'd seen how Bran had transformed once he became the Three-Eyed Raven, how disassociated he became from people. I'm not even really Bran Stark anymore. Hi, Tyrion, I live in the past mostly. Don't envy being me. And now he's the ruler of everything. It's like, is there any concern there that he's wasn't the best person to pick?
One example of something he would do that you're like, oh, there we go. We kind of got that with everybody. She's the Queen of the North now. Great. Arya's sailing off. Cool. Bran's just like, I don't know. I'll figure this out later, I guess.
I think though that the real king is Tyrion. I think that Tyrion, as the hand of the king, is doing the kinging, and Bran is doing the magic part.
You know what? I guess I can buy that a little bit, Amanda, because there's a line when he arrives at the small council meeting, and they begin their talking, and then he's like, "Oh, I think I could go find Drogon. You carry on. I'm gonna go like just warg and do my like time traveling fun stuff." And
because
maybe
Tyrion would have never. I don't think Tyrion would have ever accepted the crown. But
I don't think anyone would let him have it either.
No.
I don't think that would have.
No.
Just imagine like Arya on the boat and like looking off to a forest, and Nymeria's like,
oh, Nymeria.
it's like waves goodbye.
Yeah, I wish Nymeria had like just jumped on the boat. And, like, Nymeria, yay!
I recognize you now. Yeah, okay. I mean, and honestly, thinking about it more, maybe that was Bran's plan, that Tyrion could never actually become king no matter what. One, because of like the stigma and the prejudices against him because of his physical appearance. Also, everything he's done. You know, that he's just hated by like a lot of people.
Tyrion himself said it. He's like,
Yeah, he
he's
said,
like, well, you could
yeah.
be king, and he's like, the imp.
Oh yeah,
An imp.
Half
Come
the
on,
people hate
you know?
me for killing Dany, the other half hate me for betraying King's Landing. maybe that was Bran saying like, I'm gonna become king, but like I'm the person who can like be a symbol of the king.
Yeah.
But you're really doing the ruling. Like we've seen this before. That was like a whole thing with Ned and Robert. Robert's like, I need you to run my damn kingdom, so I can have
Right.
fun drinking and
Right.
having sex and stuff and hunting, because I don't want to do it. It's like, well,
Yeah.
it works out sometimes that way.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think also Bran was probably the safest choice for fan happiness. As far as like we would all be upset with anyone on the throne, I think. But Bran was just sort of like the most neutral.
Like he hadn't actually done anything that I think had caused like concern in terms of like there was just concern about what he could do based on his personality changing, but in terms of his acts, you could argue whether or not you're on the side of the fence, him not warning people about the future. Like he could have saved lives. I mean, you could be on that side of the fence where like, okay, he actually has done bad stuff. He hasn't done it, but if you set that part aside, what has he actually done? He's tried to always do. His character has tried to do good things. He tried to go north of the wall. Like he was like very determined to do that. I don't know. Like the more I think about it, honestly, the more I don't think there was a pick of anybody. I think that was the point. Is like everyone's gonna be upset with anyone who's the ruler.
That's what I'm saying. So sort of like I mean, and also like, aren't people gonna get a little bit tired of Bran like going like, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen.
Bran.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
There was. I do want to address. I saw someone posting about this, and I thought this was a really valid point. That it was a little bit ableist to name him Bran the Broken, and it's a little bit of an issue with the show, in that they could have named him Bran the Visionary. Bran, there were other choices, and instead they labeled him with his physical trait.
So, I think I definitely agree that is like a poor choice on the writers' decision for contemporary viewers and like contemporary, just
us.
how for us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the show does a lot of things that are because this is it's a fantasy world. But if we were to try and go back to like roughly in that medieval time period, it's probably what people would have called him. So I think it was balancing trying to be historically.
Someone said maybe it meant Bran the Wheel Breaker, not Bran. That's a good point.
That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could have been that. But also, the fact that we've been suspecting it didn't mean that means there's probably going to be other people in that kingdom like, oh, it means because he's a broken person. He's in a wheelchair. I feel like this show balances in that regard. I balance how much of this is trying to be historically accurate, or not historically accurate, but like playing to that time period, to that extent, versus... Yeah, it is fiction, and writers, it's their choice. They're the ones who get to author this. They could do it this way, and it's, I don't know, I feel it's a little bit of a juggling act, and I think they could have come up with a better name that would have satisfied both. So, unless they come out and say, oh, it means he broke the wheel and stuff.
Yeah, Bran the Breaker. Yeah,
Bran the Breaker,
a cool
would have been a nice
name.
name. So, I do see that. But I don't feel like I get upset about that.
Yeah.
Versus the fact that like the fictional time period the show's supposed to take place in.
I thought it was an interesting point though.
It definitely is. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right when we started, like 20 people asked about the Dothraki.
Oh yeah, the
Let's-
Dothraki.
Because they were kind of...
I don't know.
Let's talk
I
about
don't
the
have an
Dothraki.
answer for you. They seem to grow in size with each episode
Yeah.
after being annihilated by the army of the dead.
Clones.
I guess
They're all clones.
half of them are hiding out somewhere else. They're like, we only want to commit half our forces to the long night battle. The other half, you just chill out over here and stuff, and like while
Maybe
you're...
they were on. Maybe there was like a whole round of boats that didn't make it till later.
Yeah, or maybe they were probably
They
on
were
a
like,
boat
"We're
somewhere
here.
else.
What do we miss?"
Yeah, because they have such great people, tacticians, who are masters of strategy, who like foresaw that, like, we shouldn't commit all our forces here. Yeah, they're very good like that. They were the ones who let, like, Euron and the fleet just show up by that, but they're master tacticians, so who would question, their judgment?
Yeah.
Like maybe the show set up.
But at the end, Grey Worm goes back to the Isle of Nath. Is that right?
Okay. Yes.
And that was where he wanted to go with Missandei, right?
Yes.
And is that where Missandei was from, or is that like a place that he heard of that's nice?
I think
Is that
that's
where
where
he's
she's
from
She
originally?
said she's from the Isle, Missandei from the Isle of Nath.
Yeah, so they're going back to this nice island.
I just picture like,
Well, there's a
that.
problem,
What?
but I don't know if it exists in the show.
Oh, what's the
A
problem?
bunch of book readers were quick to point out that there is a deadly disease there
What?
that only the natives are immune to.
What?
From a butterfly. There's a butterfly that has a disease with it.
In the books, though. It's in the book. Yeah,
in
the books. In the books.
So essentially, if that's true in the show, they're all going to die, essentially.
yeah.
No butterflies. Grey Worm the butterfly.
I just picture Grey Worm going to his troops and being like, we're going to Nath, and they're like, okay, and then he like leaves the room, and like,
And they're like,
apparently
"Do
it
you
was
wanna go
mentioned
to
on the
Nath?"
show.
his two
I didn't wanna go to
his
Nath.
two side generals are like, Nath, what's
in
that?
Nath?
And he's like, oh, Missandei's from there, and he's like, oh. I could see like a lot of the eye rolls among the generals, like, okay.
I mean, like, maybe he could be like, we'll go wherever everyone else wants to go, but can you drop me off in that? And they're like, but there's butterflies there. He's like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. But then where did
That's Grey Worm killing all the butterflies. Spearing the butterflies.
Because we didn't actually get any resolution on the Dothraki. Did they stay?
Well, there's some walking around the streets of King's Landing as we see,
Right.
that scene.
There were some extras that were like, so anyway, the other day I was talking to this bread seller, and he
Like-
said hot pies, and I said, sure, I'll take 5.
Like, are they just going to assimilate into Westeros culture all of a sudden? Like, we're going. It's like, what?
Anyway,
No.
are you gonna check out the joust later? I might. I'm kind of
We
not
got
into
all these Targaryen flags. You want one of these?
Yeah.
We should probably take that flag down.
Like, it would be like riding around in it made no sense. I can only think that maybe they're at the docks because maybe they are sending a ship for them to send the rest of them back over to the Great Plains over there, the grass sea over there for them to return home. Because they have like no place in Westeros. Like they're just gonna be miserable there.
I mean, they could make a place in Westeros if they wanted to.
I think if they would have given them like the land, the gift and the reach.
Yeah.
But they offered that to the Unsullied, and they're like, yeah, we don't want payment.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh well, it's still there for anyone who
There
wants
was
it.
a good point that scrolled by already. Tyrion, season 1, calling Jon a bastard. Never forget what you are, for surely the world will not make your strength, and it can never be your weakness. Armor yourself in it, and it will never be used to hurt you. Bran's name could be a reference to that. That's nice too.
I think
That's
if
interesting.
Bran had chosen that name, like if
Right.
we had that scene of dialogue where they go, well, what should we call him? And he goes, how about Bran the Broken?
Yeah. Can we talk about Daenerys again?
Yeah, we didn't talk about Daenerys enough.
I hate that she burned everything, but man, she was walking up there with the dragon wings behind her, looking awesome. And she gave like an awesome speech.
Well, that was
And
the
she
thing about the
speaks,
Dothraki.
multiple languages.
Yeah, when she said
And
blood
she's
of my
just
blood, like,
awesome. And then she's just like the coolest, and I was like, "Shoot, why'd you burn all those people?" Because she's just the best, and she's awesome, and I just had to say that.
So all you just need to do now is remember the show's fan fiction because it's not the books.
Yeah.
And in your head, you just gotta hope that scene really follows after she liberated King's Landing from the Night King, who actually made it down there, and like her forces defeated them. That's why everything's burnt and it's all like wrecked. It's because she had to unleash hell to save. Like there was no choice; they were gonna kill everyone, and we saved what we could. So she saved what she could, and now she's like thanking everyone, and she's like she won.
It worked out.
Yeah, it worked out.
A good headcanon.
Yeah, and like the reason Tyrion and Jon are so sad is because how much it costs to get that. Like unfortunately, they failed. Cersei didn't fulfill her promise, didn't help them out. That's why they lost at Winterfell, and this could have been maybe avoided if everyone just banded together and fought earlier.
Yeah.
And this is the outcome. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go.
But yeah, also Sansa, pretty boss.
Yes.
Pretty freaking boss. We're not gonna bend the knee. I'm gonna be the queen. Yes.
She at least never betrayed that. Like her character stayed true to that. After everything she'd seen, she's like the true North people have the only ones who've been loyal to me, have treated us right, have rallied behind us.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a few traitors here and there, but like generally, this is my people, and this is where I belong, and we don't belong answering to anyone else. So
And it kind of worked because there was that moment before the Battle of Winterfell where she's like, yeah, I just got letters back from all of these people, from the Aarons and from, like Dorne and from everybody else. It's like, oh yeah, that we good luck with that battle with the undead there, but we can't make it. And so them winning that battle, then showing up and her being like, yeah, this Seven Kingdoms, I'm out. I'm leaving. Like, you all, screw all of you. We, stopped this plague from wiping all of you out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take my people. We're heading back north, and we're not joining this anymore. And everyone's like, we can't agree with it. We can't debate that because we haven't done anything. Like, we've literally sat aside while all of this has happened. We didn't stand up to Cersei. We didn't stand up to the White Walkers. Like, take it.
Yeah. I felt like they maybe could have done a better job of justifying why only the North was in a position to demand to be independent, and like, this is all we have done for this realm. Not just for 1,000 years, but in this battle, this is what we did. And then better explain why the other 6 kingdoms are still going to be dependent on the crown, at least for the immediate future. It's like, your kingdoms have all been like devastated to some extent. Truth. And you don't have the resources anymore. You don't have like the numbers anymore. And like, we will provide for you. Like, we will guarantee safety. Yeah. Like, I don't think they did enough there because freaking Yara is like the Iron Throne. Like, I think Yara was there was no way. She hated. She wanted Dany.
Yeah.
She's
like, wait,
there.
That was an option. She's like, wait, I could. Actually, no. I want to also be independent. The Greyjoys. We'd like our independence. Thanks.
Yeah, my pledge ended at Theon, my brother dying at Winterfell, so I'm going back and taking my throne.
Can we talk about the Greyjoys too? Because the Greyjoys stayed loyal to the Targaryens through Robert's rebellion. So they were loyal before Baratheon, and they stayed loyal to the next Targaryen. And so the fact that they're like, okay, Starks. Like, no, the Starks were their enemies. And so that was a little unbelievable too, except maybe they just wanted peace.
I just think, even if Theon's redemption hinged on going back to Winterfell and redeeming himself to the Starks, Yara had no loyalty to them.
They declared independence during Robert's rebellion.
That's right.
They're independent. Right. They don't want to be ruled by anyone.
That's the correction.
I just don't get. I don't get why they so easily. She said, "I."
Like, I know.
A little unbelievable.
Yeah,
a little unbelievable.
Again, it was quick. It was they were like, let's wrap it up.
Like, maybe she just had enough of fighting herself, and she's like, listen, if we say no here and they come after us, we're gonna get like raffle stomped again. We've had enough of this. Can we have a generation off? We'll say yes. We'll rebel later. We're cool.
Well, you definitely get the vibe that like this is not going to be happy forever.
Oh no!
It's not like the end of like Lord of the Rings saga where you're just like, all right, vacations, everybody, all around. Like, this is going to be tough. It's going to be interesting. Maybe that was why we didn't get a lot of Bran, just to kind of left us, leaving us in a place where, like,
the more Bran you get, the more questions.
But I saw Ray and some other people were frustrated that it was kind of like greatest hits at the end. It was just like, specifically the council. It's just like, well, we know everyone on this council really well. But one hope that I had for the story wrapping up, I was happy when he brought in the Song of Ice and Fire. Like, I wanted to see some kind of recollection of this because, this is a book series, and this is a television show for us.
But yes.
But I do think for Westeros, this will be viewed from the death of Robert Baratheon to the death of Daenerys Targaryen as like an era. Like, that definitely was a thing that happened. And so that was them kind of like wrapping it all up. And when I think about the first book, what I remember in the first season, like the moment we meet the Stark kids, there's a lot of like them being trained on who people are. What are the houses? What are their sigils? What are the flags? Like, what are their mottos? Like, where are they from? Who are their bannermen? Like, and you see the kids like trying to remember. You see Arya not caring. You see Sansa caring only because she wants to please her parents. You see Bran, like wanting to explore and gain a higher perspective to look at everything. So like they kind of do, take these paths, but it's all rooted in, their dad who has the sister who, don't get me started on her, and then his old friend Robb, who's now the king, and like the Lannisters, and they got a past, and you're just meeting all these people for the first time, but every, like the council and everybody that is in a position of power, they all know each other. Like, they've all fought together for a really long time. They all have like these histories that we don't. Littlefinger and Cat, like, that's not clear when these, when the story begins. We only really like discover more and more of that as we go on, like her family. And I do feel like we're kind of in this position now, almost like you could start a new book series now. And if you were, imagine just meeting Sam now, and you're, who's the Sam guy? And then like, there's some, if that's a 7-book saga, then in book 3, he goes to the Night's Watch, and hey, John, they know each other? And like, you were growing up, like, of course they do. You don't know that? And so it's fun to look back at the first, season in the first book and think about it that way. Like, when you see these people who we are just told have known each other for a really long time, now we can kind of feel what that must have been like. And so I like that we do get a little bit of a cycle there. I know it kind of seems weird seeing Bronn put in that position, but at the same time, like the council, when Ned first came in, these were all people that were used to each other. They trust each other. They've been through a lot together, and so there is no one else to sit in that chair other than this person who I know better than other people. It's not going to be a room full of strangers. It's going to be
people that know each other, that have relationships.
I love Davos. Davos is my favorite in that room. Like, yes! I'm so happy Davos made it through, that he can, master ships. Go Davos.
I felt like they played it for the joke that they didn't put Tyrion in the history, though. I felt like that was a little bit of a jokey.
Well, that's the show. When all else fails, write a joke. Like especially with Tyrion. There were a lot of scenes from the books. So I was like, oh, this Tyrion scene, I'm looking forward to. This was a good monologue in the books, and he's just like, joke, moving on. Like, oh, bummer, there's no time. So I think that was kind of the thing. What gag can we put in with you being like, oh, the song of ice and fire? Like, how can we, make it silly, put a smile on your face when obviously this is a very corny moment?
Yeah, having
but that doesn't make sense.
The book name in there, referencing like that and the same thing like in Lord of the Rings, the films, like having like the book shot essentially.
Yeah.
Here it is, like the thing you're watching, someone's writing it too.
Never-ending story.
Okay.
He was with us. We were with him in the bookstore when they.
I don't know how I felt about that shot. I don't know if I really needed it. I don't think it really did anything for me either.
I'm sorry, which shot? I was reading the chat.
In the small council, and they give Tyrion the book, and he opens it, and it's a song of ice and fire.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the stories, everything. And it's like, oh, we're being like self-referential. I was like, in that moment, it really didn't do anything for me.
Oh, I'm
like,
a sucker for stuff like that.
Like, I mean, in Lord of the Rings,
it was cheesy.
It was
super cheesy.
But back again.
I like that nonsense.
I didn't mind it. I know I kind of like it too. It's cheesy, but I kind of like it.
I was like, oh, okay, sure.
It's funny.
Yeah, sure.
Ninth Ninja, I was a Stannis fan as well. I remember telling you. I was like, okay, I'm reading the books now, Amanda. And you're like, yeah, who do you like? And I was like, I like Stannis. And you're like, that's nice, Brandon. Well, you didn't know. He's still alive in the books.
Oh.
Yeah, he is still alive in the books.
Yes. He might make it.
Yeah.
He might make it yet.
They weren't sure yet.
He might get out of that forest. Let's see what Gerb decides in the book.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we do sound a lot happier during this discussion. I mean, they did kind of give us some band-aids for our boo-boos, some character band-aids, and I didn't like the direction they took the show, but it was nice to see people kind of get a little happy ending. It was just nice. It just felt nice to have people be a little bit happy.
Yeah.
I guess there's a low bar.
You know what? If it's ultimately where Jon was supposed to end up, Jon Snow, I like his ending.
Yeah.
I never wanted him to be the king.
Yeah, that was fine.
I was like, I love that. I was like,
they dramatized it, but it works out.
And it also kind of emphasized, because I felt it was so wrong when he said goodbye to Ghost. I was like, this is wrong. You don't say goodbye to Ghost. And so the fact that he came back to Ghost, I was like, oh, maybe that's why. Maybe they always meant for him to come back to Ghost.
Bran told him.
Yeah, Bran told him.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a stretch, but you said something very interesting with the.
I did?
I was shocked. Floor.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What was it?
Jaw on the floor. At the very last shot of the entire show, when Jon is leading all the families through,
But it's
and
a
Amanda
bunch
said,
of children,
the children of the forest,
and the children of the forest. Yeah.
They were just it was the wildlings. So I guess the wildlings waited for Jon.
Yeah, that wasn't clear.
I don't know that they waited for
They're like,
him.
it's great, Jon. We built this whole barn over there where we're all sleeping. He's like, pack it up. We're leaving. We're leaving.
I was gonna
We're going to Craster's. Pack it up.
That shot when he got
maybe
there.
because the grass was growing, it's like, it's spring, so it's okay to go back now.
And that was subtle because that was a quick winter, man.
It was
so,
super
so I like that.
winter.
It's like a. I mean, what is book 7 called? It's like the hints of winter, or the smells of winter. No, the smell of spring, or what is it?
It's like winter winter and is it a dream of
a
spring?
dream of spring.
There you go.
So
And
it's
is that
like.
rumor?
I
wanted to be a smell of spring.
A smell of spring.
A waft
New
of spring.
Febreze odor. For
Does it smell like the Night's Watch in your room? Then use the smell of spring.
It's like Tyrion walking out of the bathroom.
Smells smell
little
of
smell of spring in there.
Oh.
But I like that they weren't. You didn't get the sense at the end. The grass was enough. It was really quick, actually,
Yeah.
for you
It
to be
was-
like, they'll get
It
there.
was
Not
almost
quite yet,
not
but.
enough. I was like, one blade of grass.
But I don't even think. I mean, even in the time that the books are obviously going to take, it's still like winter's going to be a long time. I think from the moment when winter, no spoilers, but like book 5, like winter's here. Like that's like one of the last
Right.
things spoken in book 5. It's like, oh no, winter has come. There's a sign that winter has come.
Yeah.
So like, summer or what they're just getting summer, right? So yeah. So or fall or whatever, like whatever. So summer lasting 5 books. And then winter lasting 2 is a little weird.
Well, it's the seasons. The planet spins slowly. I guess I don't really know how it works. Maybe I don't know how the seasons.
So the grass is
But,
symbolic. I thought nothing more.
Two thoughts. One, the ash falling as snow, but then it became snow later.
Yeah, that was
So
it was
that
a mix.
was a little of a blur.
Snash.
Also, smell of spring. Also, the dragon. Okay, so Drogon isn't dead, but he leaves. So does that mean like we've got no more Melisandre and no more Drogon in Westeros? Does that mean no more magic and no more Night King? So did they basically just go like magic is done now?
I'd have to think so.
What the dragon? Drogon's still there?
Yeah, but he flew far
I don't know
away.
if there are any more like red priests there. I think there are none. Maybe they all went back to like Essos.
I'm just wondering because
I'm
there was
assuming.
this whole thing of like, oh, there's more dragons, so the magic is getting stronger, and like magic got stronger with more dragons, so now there's only one dragon and he's further away. I'm just curious to see like
Also,
how
yeah.
that affects the magic stores
Also,
in
Bran's
Westeros. It's not a question we
king?
can answer.
So I bet if anyone came to Bran and was like, "Hey, we're hearing about this crazy magical thing in this cave somewhere," he wouldn't be like, "Whatever." He'd be like,
Right.
"Oh yeah, let's go check that out. That sounds interesting."
Yeah.
So certainly more than you look at it like, let's look at past kings in terms of their tolerance of magic. Cersei, Robert Baratheon, Tommen. What's his butt? Oh, I can't even remember his name.
Speaking of Cersei,
What's his butt? He got poisoned. Come on, I can't think of his name.
John Aaron?
Yeah, he also got poisoned.
Yeah,
but,
there are a lot of people got put Joffrey.
Joffrey, there it
Joffrey.
is. There it is.
Um,
Like, none of them even
but
believed in it,
speaking-
had patience for it.
but
So,
Cersei had the prophecy about being killed by her brother, right?
and she was
And she was somehow a little bit.
totally no. I
Because-
think that
because
does qualify in a
Tyrion's-
stupid way.
Because
but yeah.
Tyrion's loyalty to Daenerys resulted in. Although there were some comments earlier that if they just stood like 10 feet to the right, they would have avoided the cave.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was
They just shot
a
those up
solid
out
2
of-
foot of brick.
They shot those out of order. They're like, whoops, we shot this emotional scene with Tyrion finding Cersei and Jaime under rubble first, and then we like CG like the falling stuff later. Like, whoops,
I think the
that was a way too much.
Yeah, I get him seeing it. It was funny. I was so emotionally charged at the beginning of the episode, and I was surprised when you like saw that the hand got me more than their bodies. I thought him seeing the wall of brick would have been like, oh, okay. He would have known,
Yeah,
like,
but that was
all right,
confusing,
I don't
too,
need to
'cause
get
he
in there
saw
and see
the
what happens.
rubble,
Yeah.
and then he was like, "I'll just put my torch down and walk around the rubble." I didn't understand how he got in there.
He moved some bricks. Apparently, like from the last episode, it looked like it was like just smothered in debris. Like there's no way anyone's going in there. Like they're never going to be found. Too. Oh, there's plenty of space to walk around in there. It's
Right,
like
if the
I was half
I thought the castle came down on that.
yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
I was half expecting Cersei to just get up in that scene and be like, "You're dead, Tyrion.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
you. I am the Night King. The theories were true."
They're having sex. He's like, oh, come on!
Yeah.
Shh, don't tell anyone. We'll stay down here forever.
Yeah, that was I mean upon closer scrutiny, it's a little it's a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher, like what's going on there. I think it's just like show people this like, whoops, we didn't catch that. We should have put more bricks in that scene with Tyrion crawling around and stuff. One of probably the least of the show's problems in this season was like that. Them like Tyrion being able to crawl
Yeah.
through there. It's like
Sure.
there are a lot of other
I'll
problems, like that
I'll let it
one
pass.
I can
we're
like
scraping the bottom of the barrel right now. we haven't really deep dived on Arya, and kind of where she's going,
because
and
they just kind
she got a crew.
of she got her own boat.
Yeah,
I guess just from thanks, sis.
just like went from ultimate purpose of saving everything to
So the maps was her, I guess. So in the end, they had the big montage. You see people doing
that's
stuff, and
her,
one shot was like
yes,
a long. She had like 5 maps.
Yeah.
Maps. That was her. Okay.
Yeah. That's a funny question. Like, how did Grey Worm get to the top of the stairs so fast? I also was like,
Yeah.
Oh, I felt like that was. My mind finally said like, okay, that there was a time skip here of like some amount of time that was more than a few minutes.
yeah, I guess. It was a
Because
little confusing.
I was like, that's the only way this is explained. Because I know people have teleporting powers, but Grey Worm hasn't displayed his powers of teleportation
He's learned.
just yet. Maybe he's inherited them, and now he can. He's a master of teleportation. Then why do you have to take a boat to Nath? You could just teleported there. Yeah.
Got into those killer butterflies.
He's a dragoon. He knows how to like jump really high. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I should have made that. That
was close.
pathetic, man.
It was,
That was
it
very
was a
close.
It was
metaphor.
like 2 feet away, and I
It's a
missed it.
metaphor for some of the episodes that we saw this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dropped
So
that
close.
like Jamie's backstory.
Hey-o.
Hey.
Ooh, yeah.
So anyway, you're gonna stay in the city? I got some other Dothraki friends. They found a nice place. Oh yeah, where are you staying? Over in Flea Bottom. It's not as bad as you think.
I just want like one of those spin-offs to be like a Dothraki
Yeah.
that stays in King's
Dothraki
Landing.
bouncers at the
It's
end of the
just like, how
crossroads.
strange.
Bronn rebuilds the brothels, and it's a whole side story. Bronn and the Dothraki, and
There's like, I want a new show. I want a season 9 that has nothing to do with any of these people. I want them to do like a new tournament in the King's Landing, right? So there's like some young squire who's like, I'm going to the tournament, father. And he like goes in, it's like round 1, this Dothraki guy. And he's like, oh, come on. Like, I've never left my home until this morning. The Dothraki's bans him. Like, yeah. It's gonna be hard.
and Bran's
Integrating
like, we
Dothraki.
should have outlawed jousting. I knew that.
But I was so busy being preoccupied with other things.
I was warging into all kinds of animals. Have you ever warged into a lizard? It's fascinating. They're so quick.
Oh.
Like, okay, Bran.
Yeah, they're having.
Have you ever walked into a butterfly on the Isle of Nath?
Yeah, that's how Grey Worm and them survive. He wargs into them and prevents them from releasing their deadly poison.
What happened to the horse that Arya rode out of the city? Because Arya...
Well, what was that moment
Well,
was
then-
given
It
so
clearly
much
was a
weight.
Dothraki horse, and she was nice and returned it back to them.
What was any of that? Why would that ending was so slow? Like, why did we? That seemed like they were building up her hatred of like Daenerys, but then that didn't
and then nothing.
do anything.
Don't
You
you-
kind of see her stalking her, she's like flanking her as like
Yeah.
all the troops are lined up.
Yeah, don't you love that shot where she's like
that
sneaking up
horse
like that,
just vanished?
and all
Like,
that just
why
to
do we
pop
spend-
up behind John really quick, just
Yeah.
to tell him, I know a murderer
When I see one. I kill her when I see one.
kill
I
her.
wanted them
Yeah.
to, I guess, convince him or something.
I would have
I love how she's like
I would've
Batman.
liked it
Jon Snow's
if-
like Gordon, like, oh god.
I would have liked it if John was like talking to Dany and they kissed, and then it's a stab, and then it pulls back and it's Arya.
I thought that
and then
for a
John
second.
walks in and he's like, no.
I actually thought that for a second because I thought he didn't have the guts to do it.
Right.
And his expression was expected of like if he had done it, but then I thought I saw a little hesitation in his eyes. I'm like, and I thought he was gonna like, oh my gosh, he's gonna look down. He's gonna see it wasn't him. And you see like Arya behind her or something.
Mm.
I was like, ooh,
I think
nope,
that
denied.
that takes away significance of him strolling by Drogon.
Oh.
Drogon being like, oh yeah.
But I mean, she got
Targaryens
She
rule.
got past the undead dragon too.
Right.
So she has those powers. She's proven she can get past
Oh,
dragons.
she did, totally,
She
yeah.
absolutely can get past
Yup.
dragons. Like, show her, that's why we had to establish in the Long Night. She got past all that for that point. Would have made sense. Perfect.
I just imagine like the High Council having a meeting, and they're like, yeah. So Bran made this decision. Like, can you check? And just like, oh no. The last I checked, Bran's like in some other place at King's Landing. They're like, okay, anyway. So I was saying that Bran, and it just pans over to the window, and there's a crow like. I want another season. There's so many good bits.
I got questions for you then.
Oh.
Was there anything that's left unresolved that's really like bugging you, or that you wanted to see have some more closure, or like, or do you think they just like, oop, that
So-
storyline was just completely dropped?
When he told the Dothraki, when he was like, look, man, there's a place you can go. It's his land. It's over here. Who said that? I don't remember. They were like, did they say that to Grey Worm? Somebody was either the Dothraki or Grey Worm was told like, just go and be farmers, man. Everything will be cool. Peace.
Oh, Davos.
Were they talking about Lady Olenna's? What's her house?
That's
what happened to that family? That land, like
Queen of Thorns. I thought
the Lannisters took that over.
Garden.
That's Bronn's place now.
It's Bronn's.
Oh, so they gave it to Bronn. Okay.
They gave it to Bronn.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a weird transition.
Yeah.
I don't know how the Queen of Thorns would feel about Bronn taking over her
Highgarden's
homeland,
the best because they've got really good produce.
Got the Tyrell land. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really like the Bran. Bran is the biggest thing for me that I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting him to become king, but like, cool. Looking forward to Bran as king, and then just Bran. We got as much Bran as once he was king than we got, the rest of the season.
Bran, do you feel like you wanted more Bran because you're Bran?
I just wanted to know what kind of Bran king this Bran's going to be.
Do you know if Bran doesn't?
I know what kind of Bran king I would be.
Bran, do you know if Bran doesn't show up for a council meeting? They say he's Bran Flakes.
What?
He's like
what? What? Excuse me?
Bran Flakes.
Oh, because Bran Flakes.
On the meeting.
Yeah, okay, I got it. There it is. Got it.
And click.
And where is the eyes?
It cracks me up.
That's all that's left, man. It's just now we can just joke about the whole damn thing finally,
That's what the show does to you.
Now we're completely looking in the rearview mirror. And just kind of remarking on everything. I mean, I just, as cheesy as it is, I did, what? Stop it. I did kind of like the special, it's one of like the only parts of the Star Wars Special Edition that I like, is the end of Return. Like you see Coruscant, you see the statue of the Emperor falling. Like, it was weird that we saw so much of King's Landing getting annihilated, and then like at the end, it's like, oh, King's Landing's these 5 people. That's pretty, and Podrick and the king. That's about it. Like there was just no like wheeling them out and having everyone be like, it's Bran. Okay, it's just kind of assumed that everyone's gonna be cool with this. I know it's so cheesy, but I would have been. I mean, as long as we're just fan service across the board, I would have loved to go back to the inn one more time. I would have loved just like some slice of life. Like what is all of this now? That would have been great. But like, what does all of this
which inn?
mean?
The inn at the crossroads?
That inn where Hot Pie is. Like what is this new king? The fact that the North left, the fact that Daenerys is dead. Like what? How is your average person processing that information?
Yeah, I think that the council meeting where they laughed down democracy made it pretty clear that they still don't care what the common person's experience is with this whole Game of Thrones. So I think that's why we didn't really get it.
Because the book, The Song of Ice and Fire, is a nice nod that like this story will continue. Now they're closing the book on this, where we wrote that passage for Jaime closing the book. It would have just been nice to like, hey, did you hear? Even if it was literally just like, hey, did you hear that Mad Queen? She burnt the city, but then we got her and we took the kingdom back. And like, crazy. Anyway, how's your corn this year? Oh, it's great. It's just so you can tell like. It's, from these people, it's business as usual. They're just going to kind of go back to it. Like they weren't as invested as all of these, as Davos and Tyrion, and like the stakes are not as high for them as they are for these characters that we know.
I really would have liked like a 1 year later or something just to like help because King's Landing looked like good as new.
Yeah, that was when. Yeah, we saw the shot.
I was like, did they rebuild all the furniture and
I was like, wasn't that all blown up? Especially like the bay. I was like, wait, didn't she like wreck all that?
She wrecked all that.
Okay, it's back.
She wrecked like everything. So
all right, well, magic didn't leave Amanda. Obviously, it's strong and doing well. Yeah.
Yeah, they just rebuilt it.
The master of magic.
Yeah.
The most powerful person in the show.
Do you hear my sister moved to King's Landing? Oh, where'd she live? Oh, in the Burn District. Rent's cheap there. They're still rebuilding.
Yeah, like we don't like even the show in the past has done a decent job of showing you a glimpse into common people's view. Whether it was like the writing in King's Landing, the whole play arc, where we saw how common people viewed the whole story of Joffrey and everything, like from the beginning of everything from like season 1 to season like 4 or whatever. It's like, they kind of get some things wrong, but I mean that's because that's the only information they have to go on. I wanted to see what like the rest of the world react. Like what's
Yeah.
going over in Bravos and like
Right.
what's going over in any
Yeah,
of the
what
Bay
did
of
the
Dragons.
Bank
and
of
still Bay-
Bravos think about like their whole fleet getting wiped
Yeah,
out?
like that's unsettled. Like, someone still owes us a lot of shit. We joked about Dario. I mean, is Dario gonna go like on a rampage when he finds out like someone murdered his love?
And
You
I don't
know?
think,
He's
yeah,
like,
and I don't think they
Is he
brought.
gonna do anything
I don't
about
think she
it?
brought everybody over. Like I'm assuming
They
there's
should probably left
still
some people behind
there's still some forces left behind in Marine and,
to help,
and-
patrol and police it. Yeah, would they do anything, or they just be like, well, not much we can do, or will they try and do
I
something?
mean, none of them care as much as Daenerys about
I-
her claim to that throne. And
Hannibal Wendigo, I think you should read the books.
oh no, they don't have a debt because she
enjoyed
paid him
them.
back.
Well,
Remember,
no, she paid
we
him
went through
back,
this.
Yeah, but then she
didn't
got
pay-
some more boats.
I don't know if she actually paid up for the Golden Company
Right.
though. I think she
made
secured
new
them
debt.
because she had like paid off the debt and showed she's good for it.
Right.
But I don't know if she actually paid. Is it ever clearly stated that she actually paid off for the Golden Company?
No funeral for Euron. Okay.
So sad.
No grieving process.
Yeah, who mourns Euron? No one.
It was weird not to see Theon. All the Arya's names. What is her name? Yara.
Yara was there.
I know, but there's no.
Yeah.
She was just like, I grieved.
No, well, I mean, I think that part we were past by the time we got to the council meeting.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, you think about you bow for no men at the end of Return of the King, and seeing everybody seeing them all bow to the hobbits, like it was weird contrasting that scene to like these people under a tent being like, I don't know, Bran, okay, Bran. It just didn't have that. Yay, King's Landing's fixed, and
Yeah.
I like the. It's another one of these, Game of Thrones bits that they love to do with Tyrion, but I did like the straightening of the chairs, just this idea of like, okay, we're doing it right. It's like how many times have I gotten the chance? How many times is this shuffled? Who wears this pin? Who sits in that chair? It's like let's start off on the right foot here.
Yeah. For sure.
And I just think really good. You think about what these people are made of. You think of like what a good heart like Tyrion has and Davos has and Podrick has and Brienne has and like all these people who are now in these positions of power. It's like
Yeah.
and Jon, like you do not have to worry about the North. Like they're good. Like the west side of the North, you got Jon and Tormund and all the wildlings that are cool with the Night's Watch now, and you got the Night's Watch and who are like and remember that too at the Night's Watch how there was how like it was was it Aemond who was the maester at the wall?
Maester Aemon.
And like his,
Right.
like how, like it's kind of like Jon, like he was
Right.
there, he was so close to power, and
Yep.
and he walked away from it, and all of the connections that he has, and the Mormonts, him being, it's funny because the bear is going to be in,
there are any more Monts left.
but not Jorah, but his dad is going to be in his Dark Materials. It was funny that promo.
Yeah.
It's like,
really?
aha, he's back.
Yeah. He went on to a better place.
The HBO through line, yeah. But I just think that and Sansa, I just think they did a good job of like they're not perfect, but like we did kind of get through with the better people in this world, being in charge. It's just so abrupt. So I don't think like the kind of the weird, like if I feel at all unsettled, it's not because of I don't like the way things ended up. It's just like, man, it was fast.
It was fast.
It's like we got a Sansa Daenerys scene, one. Like that was it. Like we got one scene to literally encapsulate all of the possible things those two people could talk about. And so that's the stuff that I would look forward to in a book. Of like be sweet, like in the beginning of book 8 or book 7 or whatever. I don't know where we're at. Did you tell me who said that book 7
6
probably ends with the long night?
I think Winds of Winter ends with the battle.
At the end of book 7, the Night King
Yeah.
dies. Or that conflict ends. And it'd be neat in that book to like chapter 1, Arya. And you're like, oh, okay. And Arya seeing all the new people come into King's Landing. And then for those that haven't read the books, they're all focused on one specific character for every chapter. And it'd be neat to get a whole chapter of just Daenerys in Winterfell. How the Dothraki are all really cold. How are the dragons, conforming to this environment? Like, how is everyone treating her?
Yeah. It really didn't explain how they came up with enough resources.
Because I guess it's another thing where we can end. I imagine a lot of people are probably frustrated on us talking about the books over and over again. But like, I think it might end this way. I think some characters who died may not die in the way they do, but I don't know. I would, I really felt that the showrunners took a lot of liberties up until this point, but now kind of seeing where all of the chess pieces are, it seems plausible.
I don't know. I don't know.
That was not how I saw Dani going back east, but that was always what I thought would happen, is that she's going to leave. Like, this is not where she's from. She's going to go home.
Yeah.
I wonder if the books, Dani never ends up in Westeros.
No, she does.
I mean, her coming home to Dragonstone, man. I mean, that was such a big deal.
She's got to.
What if it's supposed to end the same way, except King's Landing gets destroyed by Cersei?
A little bit of both,
Cersei went crazy, yeah. Like, everything that happened, except Cersei was the instrument of, like, King's Landing's destruction by doing that. And then, but she dies in it and stuff. And then, they decide, like, oh, let's pick a leader and stuff, because Jon doesn't want it. Like, nope, I don't want this thing. Like, I'm not being the ruler and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the best way they could have ended the show is if Jake and Hagar had just
that was
Ian.
That was Ian, literally.
And then it's over.
If you haven't seen it, I invite you to go back.
A viewer has no more shows to watch.
Yeah.
And then
you can go back and watch our predictions. I'm curious to go back and revisit that. That might be fun to.
How would you like it if you just woke up with, like, Bran in a sweat? Like, all of a sudden just sits up in the bed, wakes up, and it's like, we're back in season, like, at some point in season 4.
Like, he hasn't fallen out of the window or anything.
He's like, oh no, I gotta warn people and stuff. And then it's like, well, there you go. That's the end of Game of Thrones. It's like, he saw what was gonna happen, and, like, now he's gonna change it all, but we don't get to know what it got changed to.
Yeah.
It was all a dream.
Drogon claims the throne. Drogon's like, I'm the Targaryen now. Yeah.
Khal Drogo wins in the real story.
Yeah.
He won. No, I'm kidding.
I mean that's also symbolic and kind of like, if you believe in the magic as I do, that the spirits of her unborn child, her brother, and Khal Drogo went into these dragons.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting having, Khal kind of like protecting her and his relationship with Jon, identifying a warrior, and a Targaryen as well, like this kind of weird respect that, Drogon and Jon had. And then ultimately taking her home.
Yeah, whenever they went.
Yeah, I saw some people in chat that didn't like that scene with Drogon, but like I do like, he does have I'd be curious. I'm going to be paying really close attention to that when I revisit the show in like 2 or 3 years, to Jon's relationship with Drogon, like that, especially that moment where he's kissing her and Drogon's like staring at him, just kind of sizing him up, like. He clearly passed, Drogon definitely had the kind of this odd respect for him and certainly had respect for this decision that he made, where he's like, hey, Drogon's like, burning down King's Landing, that was fun. I really, really enjoyed that. I've been waiting to do that for a long time, but you got a point. That was pretty messed up.
Yeah.
So
I also want to
take her. We're gonna
give a little props to Jon Snow for not laying completely flat on the ground as Drogon is burning the throat. Like Jon was just like, oh, leaning sideways. He's like, whoa. His hair is like, and but he doesn't run. He doesn't duck. He's just like, I'm just gonna stand my ground. And,
prove his worth.
Prove that he wasn't
well, that's another
scared.
thing too. That he didn't run.
Yeah.
He didn't pull his sword out. He was like,
yep,
I'm at your mercy. And Drogon's
really
like, remember
is.
that. That's right. First thing we've established, I'm better.
Yeah.
You're right in that regard, Jon. I like Tyrion managing stuff in King's Landing. I like Sansa ruling Winterfell. Feels good. Never got Lady Stoneheart, but she lives on through Sansa, so like I like that.
Yeah. Well, the wisdom.
The book ends,
Yeah.
and they're all like, Queen of the North! And the camera keeps going back, and she's like, in the corner, like with all of her other zombies.
Yeah, I feel like
that's pretty dark.
I feel like there's stuff that was introduced in the show that
her mom hangs out in the basement with all of the other.
Like
chatting it up, haunted mansion style.
The Ned Stark undead actually didn't die when the Night King died, and he's just like, honey, welcome back, and she's like, it's good to be back. Proud of our kids. Yeah, pretty proud. That one kid, that's not even yours. And like, no, she's like, listen, sorry about that.
she would feel so
like, no,
Don't worry, I never really liked him. I never really liked him, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I knew there was some odd about him.
Yeah.
I like that he's not living in Winterfell.
Yeah.
I like the bat suit putting on sequence for all the Batman films at the end when they were arming themselves. Like, whooshink, whooshink. Starks.
The Starks of Winterfell.
Suiting up for more adventures.
Conquer the world. They're the new rulers.
Yeah. I don't have any other thoughts. I mean, I'm just all full of jokes now.
Yeah, I feel like
It's a good place to be, I think. I feel good.
Yeah, I feel fine.
Yeah.
I don't feel upset.
fine. Yeah.
And I felt upset last week.
Yeah, I look forward to unpacking this over the coming days. Oh, and speaking of, if you're watching this live or you're watching the archive of this week we are scheduled. You never know 100% what happens with the tumultuous Easy Allies schedule following this crazy games industry, but we are scheduled this week to record the actual spoiler mode for this whole season of Game of Thrones. And so this has been a very fun conversation, but it's going to be very interesting bringing in Ben Moore, Michael Huber, some other people.
we need to talk about that. I forgot it's on Thursday because we scheduled a bunch of stuff on Thursday too.
Right. So I'm not saying officially when it's happening this week. We have it. We are planning.
Well, it probably should happen on Thursday because a bunch of us are coming in on Thursday to do stuff.
We still got to do the Detective Pikachu, which I haven't seen yet because
don't know if we're doing that anymore.
Yeah. Kyle definitely does not want to do that.
Kyle doesn't want to be on it, and I don't think it's worth doing it if we can't get Kyle and Brandon on it together. I feel like everyone's going to be disappointed.
I kind of want that Kyle anger though. Maybe we can do two of them. Maybe you and the boys talk about it, and then it'll just be a solo of Kyle and me, and it'll be like therapy. Kyle will lie down on the couch, and I'll be like here and be like, Kyle, let's talk about your anger. Why does it? Look at Mr. Mime. Why does this anger you so?
Kyle on the show on Friend Code. And I'll just have a segment called Detective Pikachu.
You trap him.
Yeah.
Oh, we should set up a fake episode, like an intervention, a Detective Pikachu intervention with Kyle Bossman.
Hopefully he's not watching this. Some clever angle to it, but it'll really just turn into like, all right, Kyle, like let it out. Why do you not like it?
But I'm excited to see, what everyone else thinks of this season as well.
Our friends' kids went to go see it, and then they came home and they wanted to watch it again.
Yeah.
And then one of them threw up. So I think that's a pretty good review.
Yeah. Before I forget, though, also for this coming week, I did make a mistake. It's Easy Like Anime is not going to happen on Tuesday because I won't be here on Tuesday.
Right, that's why we're here today.
It's happening on Thursday. As soon as we figure out, we're planning to do a Easy Like Anime. We're planning to do Frame Trap that day, and then I'm also coming back and we're going to shoot Final Fantasy 14 impressions from the preview event I'm going to this week for Shadowbringers, and then we'll probably have to do tacking on Game of Thrones spoiler mode, so we can get more of the allies in there to talk about.
Huber's going out of town, so he will not be on
spoiler
mode this
not
week. No Huber
for that,
But we just said Judges Week was this last week, which is why I was gone from a lot of things. I went to the majority of the appointments. Ben went to some really cool appointments that were very Ben. That was like, Ben, you do that stuff. I still did one appointment, though, that I'm looking forward to talking to possibly you or Ben about. I played a couple games that are very much not Jones types of games, but I'm excited to weigh in on those. Bloodworth went to an event for Rocket Arena, which you can already see the preview coverage that we did of that. And Brad went to a very fun, I was super, super jealous about an appointment he did on Monday when I was still in Kauai. So still have previews coming up from Ben and Brad along with myself. We're going to record some of those on Tuesday because some of those embargoes lift this week. The rest of those embargoes lift... A lot of them lift like on E3, like the 9th or the 11th, and so a lot of that's going to be like right before the show.
Standard.
One of those is the classic Judges Week sneakeroo impression, which we watch a press conference. I sit there during the press conference, and then when it's over, they're like, "Wow, so this game got announced," and I'm like, "I've played it!" Ha! So I'm excited about that. Sneakeroo.
I want to play that.
Lots of fun pre-E3 stuff coming up in the next couple weeks. Lots of more spoiler modes. We just had, if you like this spoiler talk, Life is Strange Episode 3 with the lovely Elise Willems, who came in and sat down with Blood and Huber and chatted about that. Maybe we'll get to Pikachu. We'll definitely get to Game of Thrones. Lots of stuff out. Barry season finale. We're going to go right now watch Barry. No Barry spoilers. Can't wait.
I haven't seen anything of Barry.
Well, after tonight, you got all the 30-minute episodes. It's every one of them.
I'm rewatching.
Wonderful.
I'm rewatching Breaking Bad.
Are you?
Yeah, I've already seen Breaking Bad, but I'm rewatching it just because it's been a while.
Yeah.
And I wanted to.
We got to finish Star Trek Discovery Season 2.
I haven't touched that yet.
Dark Materials made a really good sell. Yeah. I love that Dark Materials coming in immediately and HBO being like, wait, don't turn it off
yet. that trailer they did was like, look how much stuff we got coming.
No dates, though. Just said coming
soon. Don't cancel your
we
No
rate-
dates yet on the start of Dark Materials,
No,
which is
that's
based
soon.
on the Golden Compass. Dark Materials is the book series.
It's the
Golden
series,
Compass, the
Golden Compass, Subtle Knife, and Amber
and-
Spyglass.
Three books.
And they're really, really good. Those 3 books are fascinating, and I hope they don't drag out those 3 books to like 20 seasons.
I was sad when that part of that
But-
hype reel said coming next year, and Curb Your Enthusiasm was on. I thought that was coming this year, the new season. I have to wait till like next fall or something. For
I'm
it.
nervous about the final season of Silicon Valley because in that promo they're like, "Oh yeah, in Silicon Valley." Anyway, and it's like, "Whoa, it's the last season. Wait a minute."
It's just not. They're just not promoting it a lot yet.
I guess there's not a lot
But
to
I'm
show.
excited for it too. The animals do talk. They are the demons.
Daemons.
They're basically external representations of your soul.
And Pantalima looks so cute.
Very cute.
So cute.
Golden
Yeah.
monkey, so scary.
Yeah, that's a monkey. That's right. He's got the cat.
Bear's so cool.
We haven't seen the
and
cat.
big.
We've seen the monkey, and we've seen the bear now. We've seen Pantalima.
And we saw one of the talking bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chat, I think you're gonna have to accept that there were some things, even though they were introduced in the show, they're probably gonna remain the exclusive domain of the books.
Azora High.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that. Like
Oh, sure.
There are things. Even if they tried
just
to explain
brand.
it in the show, I don't think they were done how they were supposed to be done. So, in that regard, I would hold out hope that the books get finished some point. But I'm pretty sure that ending is how it's those main bullet points is. I think it's how it's going down.
I think Azora High. I think that this is what I'm taking away. I think a lot of the show is about which religion is the religion that will give us the thing that we need in this dark hour.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, it was sort of like, well, all of them and none of them. And, when Melisandre came and lit all the swords, it was sort of like, okay, all of these people are Azor Ahai for tonight. Like Beric Dondarrion's sword lit up, but did that make him Azor Ahai? I think ultimately no one is Azor Ahai. Or you all are. Everyone's a hero.
I feel
Light your
like
sword
there's
on
so
fire.
many theories about it at this point, Amanda.
Yeah, I know.
I just keep theorizing. Like just because the show's over, I don't think the show
No.
answered it. And I think you're right to be. I want more answers, and they're coming in the books.
And there's also
They're
that
finished,
completely
yeah.
stupid, gullible book fan in me. There's this little fire swelling in my heart that's like, well, the show's over now. So maybe Gurm was waiting for the show to be over. And this is the perfect opportunity for him to announce when that book's coming. It's like, shut up.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bucket of water.
Yeah, none of that made any
Quiet.
sense. Like that. Yeah, that stuff was BS.
But who knows?
I do want to say before we close this out, not related to Game of Thrones, but if you did like what we did following the show along for the last few weeks, I definitely would like to do this again with another show. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with Netflix shows, which you can binge. Those will probably always remain the domain of the spoiler mode because we can go watch them all in our own time, come back and do a full-length
Similar
discussion.
to with the redhead and the days repeating. Russian Doll.
Russian Doll.
Which
Russian
we did that
Doll,
with Ian. And
That was a good show.
Same thing, yeah, we've done Netflix shows where like Stranger Things Season 3 will probably be a spoiler mode this year, but that is a binge watch, so we can't follow along every week. But there are some upcoming shows which do follow the weekly format that would be good candidates for this. Last episode, I said I really want to do Star Trek Picard. I would definitely love to do that. It's 10 episodes. But yeah,
Are you for that one? Would you like to come by? I'm interested as well. Yeah, I'm way
Beam
down.
me
for-
up.
Okay.
there'll definitely be other shows that we're not going to do this we're not going to dive into another show now that this is over, but when it comes up, occasionally we will do this.
This
when
was
it
really
makes
fun,
sense,
and
yeah.
this was super casual. So
Yeah.
for everybody that tuned in and joined us, it's really nice just for me to sort all of this stuff out. People have brought up really like the Dothraki was a great thing. Like, yeah, what in the heck happened to the Dothraki? Like, I love having chat's input. I love you pointing out who characters were and correcting us on weird theories that we have. And so this is fun. This is a really nice refresher.
I went away from doing the patron questions because I like relying more on
Yeah.
chat interactions and getting questions from you in chat, because too often when we do these, so many of the questions I will pick that are good questions will just get discussed no matter what. And the purpose of those questions is I want you to be able to get answers from us that we didn't come out of our natural discussion. And so the better way to go about doing that is just to wait till we're done talking near the end, and you're like, oh, we didn't talk about this, and it goes much better that way. I feel.
I agree.
So I saw chat saying what happened to the Golden Company. I think like 80%
They all
of them
got
got lit on
burned,
fire, and then the
yeah.
rest of them got their throats slit. Right?
Yeah,
that was
the
kind of
Gold-
what
the
they
Golden
were.
Company got.
Yeah, they're elephants
Like
now.
what we
They
saw.
got
Yeah.
they got
They're not
Targaryen.
around.
They
Yeah.
got Targaryen.
Still want to see
You got Targaryen!
Yeah.
Yeah. It's quick. Show it in there, Jones. I don't know if it's going to be episodic, like weekly, or they're going to put it all at once, but Mandalorian.
No, yeah, I wonder how they're going to handle that.
Yeah, if it's not a binge watch, if they make it a weekly thing.
Probably weekly.
That will definitely
because that's what they
be-
want that to be. They want that to be their
There you go,
Game of
Jones.
Thrones.
Star Wars show.
Boy, talk about no expectations, none at all.
They said
Like,
weekly, so okay, there you go.
Who knows what? Yeah, you know what that is?
I assume it's a Star Wars thing.
The Star Wars thing. The Mandalorians were. That's where Boba Fett. But I don't think Boba Fett was a Mandalorian. I think they just had the armor. But in the
I'm a
Clone Wars,
Mandalorian.
Mandalore. I love just getting into Star Wars. In the Clone Wars, Mandalore was like. It's funny. They were. What are the guys from Futurama that are like always
I
on
don't know
the
Futurama
centrists
very well.
in Futurama?
Yeah.
They're these guys that are comically centrist in Futurama, where like they don't ever pick a side. But like the neutrals or something. I can't remember. But the Mandalorians tried to be that and failed. So I don't know when that's going to be. When Jones starts talking about Star Wars, everything gets silly. Talked about
neutrals.
Picard, and there's all this reverence, and then I start talking about Star Wars, and okay, all
You
right.
just didn't hear my joke, and everybody's acknowledging my joke.
What was your joke?
I said I'm a Mandalorian.
Get it? And Jones is out. I think that's going to do it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll try and do this again at some point. So,
What are we doing?
wait. Jones.
Check us out, Damiani.
We really are the last of a Mandalorian. Bye.
Mandalorian.